Okay, well, I want to welcome everyone in. I think we'll have a few more people joining us, so don't mind them when they walk in. But I want to thank you for joining us for the CalSEED workshop this afternoon. I'm Courtney Meinhold, and I work for the Water, Energy, and Technology Center here at Fresno State. And with that, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Grace Manley, and she will tell you a little bit about our programs and services that we offer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here in person and online. So as Courtney said, we work with the WET Center, Water, Energy, and Technology Center, just right behind us a little bit over here at Fresno State's campus. So out of the WET Center, we run our Blue Tech Valley program. So we help water, energy, and ag tech startups commercialize and come to market. That starts off with our TIE program, Technology Innovation Evaluation. And so this is kind of the perfect program for people who are fitting into the CalSEED stage. So the TIE program, you come in, we talk about your technology. If there's a fit with water, energy, and ag, we can put you in front of one of our committees who can kind of give you some expert feedback, give you some advice, ask some questions to kind of help that commercialization happen. Blue Tech Valley, we're nonprofit, non-equity, just trying to help water, energy, and ag tech startups come to market. So if any of you are interested in our Blue Tech Valley programs, TIE programs, please send us an email. If you send one to Courtney, she can get it over to me, and we'd love to talk and hear more about what you guys are doing. So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we're about to talk about CalSEED.
Perfect. And with that, I would like to introduce the director of the CalSEED program, Joy Larson, and here she is.
Thank you. Stand over here.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for coming out today. Before I get started, I just want to say that the CalSEED team, we're a tiny little team in Oakland, and we don't have the network that Blue Tech Valley has, and so we are very grateful to Courtney and the entire Blue Tech Valley Innovation Cluster for putting together this webinar and this information session. We reached many more applicants this way, and so we're really grateful that we can come out and talk with you guys today. So today I'll go through an overview of the CalSEED program and what it is. We'll talk about what the entrepreneur journey looks like in the CalSEED program. We'll talk about eligibility. I'm assuming that's kind of why you're all here, to figure out who's eligible. Then we'll talk about how to apply, what the review process looks like, and then all the important dates that you need to know for 2020. And then I'll have time for questions at the end. But if you have questions, feel free to just shout them out, and I can be kind of conversational.
Should we take notes, or will we have all the information afterwards? Will you have that available for us?
Is that yeah, of course. Yeah. With Joy's permission, yes, I will share the slides.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect.
And same with the webinar. If you have any questions, please just chat them in, and I will read them aloud.
Okay, so CalSEED stands for the California Sustainable Energy Entrepreneur Development Initiative. It's a small grants program that is funded by the California Energy Commission. It's actually funded by the EPIC program. EPIC stands for the Electric Program Investment Charge. What this is it's a few cents off of your utility bill every month that goes into this massive R&D fund that the CPUC, the Public Utilities Commission, administers for clean energy research and development. The grant programs under EPIC are administered by both the California Energy Commission and the California Air Resources Board. So you're out there, you're shaking the money tree, take a look at CARB, take a look at the CEC. A lot of what we're going to talk about with regards to social impact and social equity apply for all EPIC grant programs. So we'll go through some eligibility criteria, and even if it looks like you may or may not be eligible for CalSEED, please still pay attention to some of the eligibility criteria, because it can help guide you in some applying for some other sources of public funding. So a few acronyms, logos here. I run the CalSEED program, which is a program of New Energy Nexus, and we run this program on behalf of the California Energy Commission. So that's how all these organizations kind of work together. We work with regional cluster partners. Blue Tech Valley is one of them. We're in the Central Valley. We also work with Berkeley Lab, Activation Energy, Cyclotron Road, Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator, and the Southern California Energy Innovation Network in San Diego and the whole Imperial Valley.
So do you share a budget with EPIC? or do a piece of them?
So EPIC is the program, it's the funding mechanism, and it's kind of this big chunk that's like a big pile of cash. And so the CalSEED program is one grant opportunity within the EPIC.
So you share that budget with them?
Yes, we're part of the EPIC
You're
budget.
part of it.
Yeah. And so we're given, for this round of EPIC funding, we have $24 million over 5 years. And then there's millions of more dollars in other
Epic's huge.
It's massive. I should have a slide in here about the EPIC Symposium coming up April 1st and 2nd. Yeah.
And I'll make sure to share more information with everyone in the follow-up email
So that's
about the symposium.
First and second March
April.
of April.
It's coming up
Epic.
soon. But you mentioned EPIC, so I thought I'd give it a little plug. So for CalSEED, we also work with cleantech Open. How many of you, or is anybody familiar with cleantech Open? Okay, so we work with cleantech Open. Momentum, they used to be called the Grant Farm. We also work with the Greenlining Institute. Those are kind of our main partners in kind of delivering the CalSEED program. But then we also partner with the Berkeley Lab, the Energy Efficiency Center, UC Davis, the Center for Energy Research, and the Center for Sustainable Energy. They're on our technical advisory committee. They're thought partners with regards to eligible technologies, and they also helped us put together some of the reporting frameworks that we use for all of our grantees. So, what is the CalSEED program? It's funding in 2 different stages. The first stage is called the Concept Award, and this is $150,000 undiluted dollars. The application window for the Concept Award is February 28th through March 16th. I'm going to repeat those dates a few times throughout this presentation. February 28th through March 16th is the application window for the Concept Award. All Concept awardees, existing CalSEED Award companies, are then eligible to apply for a Prototype Award, which is the second stage of funding. This is only available to existing CalSEED awardees, and that is determined through a business plan competition that we hold every year, and that's another $450,000 undiluted dollars. So, yep.
What do you mean by undiluted?
No equity, no
Matching funds?
Nope.
No, free money, almost.
Yeah.
No, it means undiluted. In other words, other investors, equity investors can't participate. Is that what you're saying?
It means we don't take equity in here.
Yeah, it means it doesn't. Oh, it means you don't hold any equity in the concept or the prototype.
Right.
Gotcha. And
So
not
this,
dilute any of your capital. Gotcha.
So what does the journey look like for entrepreneurs going through CalSEED? There is, once we kind of get started in the grant program, we do some onboarding. We introduce you to this broader California energy innovation ecosystem. Blue Tech Valley is part of that ecosystem. We do some cohort building. We do some webinars. All CalSEED awardees go through the cleantech Open National Academy Accelerator Program. I will slide on that in a couple minutes. And through cleantech Open, there's regional business clinics, pitch clinics, and a few showcases that you can go through. And all of this is kind of building up to that business plan competition. So grant dollars are really important. That's why you're all here. Everybody needs money. Money's awesome. But we also have a really powerful network at New Energy Nexus and through the California Energy Innovation Ecosystem. There's opportunities for mentorship. There's some operational and technical resources, online training, legal counsel to help navigate some of the state terms and conditions. State contracts can be kind of hairy and heavy-handed. Access to regional innovation clusters. I want to pause here for a second and say that with Blue Tech Valley, companies that work with Blue Tech Valley do enter into the CalSEED program. And we also, any companies in the Central Valley that are not already in touch with Blue Tech Valley, we try to connect you, but you don't have to be in one to be in the one of the others. It's a network, and so we're trying to build a network effect here in the Central Valley. You also get access to Cleantech Open Accelerator, and you get to join a big cohort of other clean energy entrepreneurs. CleanTech Open is an accelerator program. It happens for a few months during the summer. There's online learning modules where you'll go through and figure out like how to refine your product market fit, how to do some financial modeling, how to articulate your sustainability, how to figure out your customers and do some customer segmentation. It's like a business class 101 kind of boot camp. So there's training with practice judging clinics and pitch clinics and business clinics. And that's great because you get a kind of friendly audience to practice your pitch with. There's business clinics where you can talk through maybe some of the financial modeling challenges you have or bookkeeping challenges that you have. They also have, within the CleanTech Opens network, they have access to strategic investors, angel groups, VC firms, and then they do a couple showcases every year where you can get some attention from maybe the press or other investors to your innovation. So to kind of summarize what this all looks like is you apply for CalSEED online. There's a couple steps in that application process. We'll go through that. All the applications go through a technical review where applications are scored by a technical advisory committee. The top scores are then awarded a concept award worth $150,000. All of the awardees in this cohort then go into capacity building with the CalSEED team, Energy Nexus, and CleanTech Open. And that all helps prepare you for the business plan competition. The business plan competition is you submit a business plan and you do a pitch for the technical advisory committee. And from there, the top scores from that go in to receive a prototype award.
Yep. So how many are usually, how many winners are there for the concept?
It's typically about 20%.
So how many is that?
So 20% of the cohort. So for example, in the first year, we had 24 people compete and 24 companies compete and 4 prototype awards were given.
So 4 got the 150,000.
Last year, there were 16.
16.
And 6 companies got through.
To clarify, how many get the concept award?
Yeah, the concept.
Oh, I see. So you're asking about the concept award, not the prototype award?
Correct.
Okay.
Like,
So for the concept award, it really depends on how many applicants we get. The first year we got 400 applications and we took 28 companies. The second year we got 300 applications and we took 18. Last year we got 200 applications and we took 25. So there's not really a fair percentage. It's a matter of how many.
no, but that
how many
gives me an idea.
Yeah. It is important to note that we do distribute the cohort equally across all 4 regions of California. And so we try to get, we award companies the same number from the Bay Area as from the Los Angeles area, as from the Central Valley, as from San Diego.
And because of that, folks who apply for the Central Valley, from the Central Valley, mathematically have a slightly greater percentage chance to win.
Right.
There are fewer applicants from the Central Valley group equals.
That's an important note. So this year we're looking at 29 awards, which means 7 or 8 companies from the Central Valley. So eligibility, this is what you're all interested in. And again, I'm gonna kind of go through this a little bit quickly. This is all on our website. I invite you to go to our website where there's all of these tables are on the website. There's an application manual on the website. There's all the application questions are on the website. There's, it's called a public comment section, but all of the questions that we get, we answer and post them online. So please take a look at the website. I do want to say that if looking at this information, you don't think you're eligible, please take a look at the CEC's website, look at CARB's website. There's also a new Empower Innovation Network website that the CEC has put together where they're accumulating a lot of funding opportunities, not just for EPIC, but for all kind of things related to clean energy. And that the community in that Empower Innovation Network is only building, and so there's going to be more and more opportunities on there. So with that said, the intention of CalSEED is to fund super early stage innovations. Because these are ratepayer dollars, the people of California are paying for this funding program. You need to show that once your technology is scaled, you can have some sort of benefit, economic or social benefit, to the state of California. You need to be based in California also. How many of you are familiar with technical readiness level? This is a scale that's created by the Department of Energy. It's a scale of kind of what level of maturity your innovation is at. It's at a scale from 1 to 9. We are looking for technologies that are currently at a scale of 2, 3, or 4. This is pretty early stage concept stage. And there's a couple slides where we'll kind of walk through this a little bit more. There's also a list of eligible technology areas. There's a list of technologies that we are prioritizing this year. And so your technology needs to be within one of those areas, and I have a nasty slide on that in a little bit. And there's also a $1 million private funding cap. So if you've raised more than $1 million of private funding, you're considered to be too late stage for where CalSEED is at. We encourage applications from individuals and teams, from small startups and small businesses, not-for-profit organizations. You can be with an independent lab, community group, or other collective. Just keep in mind that $1 million funding cap. I'm on a university. I feel like it's important to say do not apply as a person with the university. If you are associated with the university, that $1 million funding cap applies to you also, and you'll automatically be discredited or disqualified. And in addition, with universities, we've kind of learned the hard way that the bureaucracy of the CPUC and all the flow down terms in our contract don't really jive with the bureaucracy of the university's contract system. And so if you are with the university, we do encourage you to apply as an individual. They won't take overhead. And it also looks better for you to, just in general, to be an individual out there trying to build an innovation. So I tried to get as much information on a single slide as possible. This is the eligibility list. So there's 5 kind of big areas of clean energy innovation. And then on the right, you will see the kinds of use cases or the kinds of technologies within each area that are eligible for funding this year. I have a printout of this if you'd like to see it also. Yep. Okay.
How creative can we be to fit in one of those 5 areas?
That's a good question. So there will be, in the application, there's an opportunity to check off one of these areas, and then you're given a box to describe your technology. So you have to describe in your own words what your technology is. And when we go through and screen for eligibility, we'll look at the box that you check, and then we'll also read your technology to make sure that it does match one of these criteria or one of these areas.
Joy, I have a question online here, and it says eligibility and storage says only electrochemical batteries or hydrogen. Will thermal energy storage or hybrid energy storage coupled with generation concepts be eligible?
I'm sorry, could you read that again?
Yep. So eligibility and storage says only electrochemical batteries or electrohydrogen will thermal energy storage or hybrid energy storage coupled with generation concepts be eligible.
Well, you said with energy generation concepts, energy generation is renewable. That's a go, right? But the energy storage component, I think they're asking if there's thermal energy storage or a hybrid energy storage could apply. I would think the hybrid, especially the hybrid contains one of those listed there. And general energy storage might be looked at favorably. Might get. So
it's really specific to this list. without knowing more about the innovation, I don't want to go there right now because we can talk maybe later. But it has to be specific to these use cases. And again, I encourage you to be really clear because it sounds like what they're talking about is putting a few things together in some hybrid kind of situation. So in the application, underneath this question where you check the box, there's a box where you can describe the technology. Just be really super clear about what the technology is so that we can understand what you're talking about and make sure that it is eligible.
Joy, can I make a comment that regarding Jim and like water efficiency? We're in Central Valley and some of these technologies provide water efficiency, which directly relates to energy savings. I mean, we've had CalSEED Award winners before, have water filtration systems running on less energy that have gotten the award. So I think that applies here.
Typically, yes, that's true. But water efficiency is not necessarily one of these topics under energy efficiency.
I haven't shown anybody here, but I have a new technology that filters out coolant water. A significant portion of coolant that takes place both for industrial and for comfort cooling uses water cooling power for that. It's new technology.
Right.
And so
Could I ask for a favor? Could we maybe talk after the presentation? That'll just be a lot easier for me. And then you don't have to tell everybody your system.
that's energy.
It is pretty narrow, and I suspect that's because there's a number of other CEC grant opportunities around energy efficiency. So we fund hardware, software, and integrated solutions. For hardware, I just want to make it clear that it still has to be early stage. So we're not going to fund any project financing for existing technologies. We're not going to fund manufacturing scale up, a commercial scale prototype, and no natural gas projects. So it still has to be pretty early stage, not commercialized yet. But it can also include manufacturing equipment, sensors, and transmission and distribution infrastructure improvements. Yeah.
So if we have a fairly large battery installation now that's probably got a year's worth of life out of 12 years. But it's an existing system. Can we install new batteries? Can this qualify for that?
So we should talk afterwards,
Okay.
but I would suggest that you focus on the battery that you're innovating in the application.
Okay.
So for software, the main point here is that we're looking for software innovations that really advance new science. We're not going to fund apps, we're not going to fund websites, we're not going to fund games. We're looking for algorithms that control grid reliability, IoT applications, demand response solutions, really kind of cutting edge scientific innovations in the world of software. For integrated solutions, things that combine software and hardware, things that are in scope, for example, are microgrid solutions, building efficiency optimization, community access to clean energy. The point here is that we're not looking to fund single non-replicable solutions. We really want technologies that are going to scale. So what is early stage? If you have a hardware innovation, if you've done some analytics studies or modeling, if you have a proof of concept, or if you've even tested the basic functionality in a lab, that's considered to be early stage. For software, anything that's like an alpha version, if you have all the requirements that you need outlined, or even if you have some really basic coding done, that's considered to be early stage. For integrated solutions, if you have some preliminary mapping of the components you'd like to put together, there's been minimal integration, you've done some early testing, or again, if you've identified all of the system components, that's considered to be early stage. So these are all things that fit within that TRL 2, 3, and 4 range. On the other end of this, you're probably too late stage for CalSEED. If your innovation works smoothly, if it's considered operational or debugged, if your innovation has a pilot that's is beyond a pilot scale prototype, if it's currently being manufactured, if it's certified or commercialized, or if it's been successfully integrated into a larger system, you're too late stage for CalSEED, and you should look for other scale-up grant opportunities from the CEC or the Air Resourcing Board. If you have software that's classified as beta, that's too late stage for CalSEED. If you have a full-scale demonstration, and these last two are really important. If you are already generating revenue or are profitable, or if you have existing customers, you're considered to be too late stage. This is really an early stage. We're trying to get early stage entrepreneurs in that like cleantech valley of death. We're trying to breathe life into clean energy entrepreneurs at that early stage. Yep.
So if you're pending, you're way beyond.
No, you can have patents. Because that's along the lines of like having a proof of concept, right?
Right.
If you are already building it and you're manufacturing and you're trying to scale up, then that's too late stage. Yeah. Is there a question over here? Okay. Okay. So there are some additional requirements. I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit and talk now about social impact, social equity. I'm usually joined by one of our partners at the Greenlining Institute, who coordinates the impact subcommittee of our technical advisory committee. She could not be here with me today, but she talks about this so eloquently. I asked her to type out what she says. Mm-hmm. And so just bear with me for a minute as I keep my head down and kind of read what she wrote for me, because she's really good at describing this. Oops. So all of these social equity principles apply to all EPIC grants, and most grants with the state of California are going to ask you to show social impact, social equity that could happen, that could result from scaling your technology. For CalSEED, we partner with the Greenlining Institute, which is a racial and economic justice public policy institute. Their mission is to build a nation where communities of color thrive and race is never. Greenlining Institute, the Greenlining is a made-up word that refers to the practice of redlining, which was a government-sanctioned policy from the 1930s, where housing policies, bankers, and realtors would draw red lines around communities of color to mark them off limits for federal investment. While redlining was outlawed in 1968, the impacts of redlining are still felt by communities of color everywhere, including the clean energy sector. As a result of decades of disinvestment, communities of color and low-income communities are left with inadequate and aging infrastructure, lack of green spaces, and disproportionate exposure to air pollution because they are often located near polluting facilities like oil refineries. Greenlining Institute is a partner of the CalSEED program because we saw CalSEED as an opportunity to address some of the energy injustices we're seeing in our communities. We want to make sure that California's clean energy economy is inclusive and accessible to everyone. So let's unpack what the word social equity means. How many of you have seen a version of this picture? Okay, so equality, here on the left, is the assumption that the playing field is level and that a one-size-fits-all solution is appropriate. Equity, on the other hand, acknowledges that people start from different places because of systemic injustices like redlining. With an equity approach, solutions are tailored to meet the needs of different groups based on where they are. In the context of CalSEED, equity means understanding that communities of color and low-income communities have suffered the most injustices from the fossil fuel-based economy, and they will be the ones that will be first and worst hit by climate change. So how does social equity appear in CalSEED? There's kind of a two-pronged approach. Equity in means that we try to attract a diverse pool of applicants to the program. We're trying to reach people from across the state. We're trying to reach communities of color. We're trying to reach women. Most importantly, we're trying to reach entrepreneurs who don't typically have access to funding opportunities or are maybe, trying to apply for a grant is really intimidating once you're in a computer system and you're trying to answer all these questions. The CalSEED application process is very straightforward. So we're trying to remove some of those barriers for people who maybe lack advanced degrees, connections, or significant experience in the tech world. Equity Out is, sorry, I lost my place in your notes. So for Equity Out, we're looking for innovations that create equitable solutions and bring them out to communities. We know that disadvantaged communities and low-income communities need long-term job opportunities, innovative programs that reduce the cost of energy, and clean energy investments that create healthier environments. One thing we often hear from awardees about social equity is that their innovations are too early stage to be thinking about social impacts. Considering the high risk of the field, we hear that they can't afford to think about social impact. We disagree. Social impact should not be an afterthought, rather it should be built into the foundation of how ideas are conceived, how products are designed, and how companies are run. So how is this going to appear in the application process, and how can you think about social equity when you're applying? Think about the potential to create economic opportunities. Are you going to create jobs through manufacturing? Are you going to locate your business in a low-income disadvantaged community and bring more economic activity to those areas? Are you going to increase access to clean energy solutions? Like, are you going to reduce costs? Are you going to create a community-based access system? Think about potentially low-income renter segments of the population. How is your product going to be accessible and affordable to folks that rent or don't have long-term housing security? Decreasing burden pollution and project sitting. Think about how your technology will decrease pollution burden for folks that typically live in the most heavily polluted neighborhoods. So if one way to think about it is you could pilot your project in a disadvantaged community. And another way that we're evaluating social impact, this is new this year, and this is for wildfire resilience. So think about the recent public safety power shutoffs, and think about groups that were most impacted by these shutoffs: low-income, elderly, children, folks that rely on electricity for medical equipment. Similar to the other areas in the application, you'll be asked to check a box next to these, and then you'll be given a space to describe in your own words what social equity means to you and how you think your innovation is going to help bring social equity into communities. And this is something, it's important because it's the people of California who are paying for these research dollars, but it's not just CalSEED. This is something that you'll see on any CEC application, is they'll ask you to identify ratepayer benefits. And what ratepayer benefits is similar to what we're talking about here with social equity, how a ratepayer benefit could be creating economic opportunities. Ratepayer benefits include increasing access. Ratepayer benefits include decreasing pollution burden, or deploying clean energy technology in a low-income or disadvantaged community. I also think that when you're talking to impact investors, when you're talking to different partners or community groups, being able to speak authentically about your social impact can go a long way to opening doors and show people that you really consider this, that you're not just giving them a string of buzzwords. Don't just put a string of buzzwords into your application. You'll not get extra points for that. Be able to speak authentically about the potential social impact of your innovation. Okay, I'm going to move on to how it works. So February 28th through March 16th is the application window. This is an eligibility application. It is about 1 or 2 pages long. It should take you less than an hour to complete. And on that application, you'll see questions related to all the stuff that we've talked about so far. And again, all this stuff is on our website, so please go to CalSEED and click the apply option at the top right, and you'll get all of this information. Then after March 16th, we will do an eligibility screening to determine if the applications are eligible for a full submission. On or around March 16th, March 27th, Anybody who passes the eligibility screening will be invited back to fill out a full application. It's a lot longer. It's like 4 times as long. It could take 3 to 10 hours to complete. And the application window or the time window for that full application is March 27th through April 16th. That's 2 full weeks, 3 full weekends, lots of time to submit your application. There in the platform that we use online for applications, you can save your application. I recommend filling it out, saving it, walking away, coming back, rereading your responses, hitting save, walk away, come back, reread, edit, save. This is a long window. Both of these time windows, it's 2 full weeks, 3 full weekends. You can save your work and come back and edit things so that it's super clear and straightforward how you're responding to the application questions. So the application process, everything is done entirely online. The eligibility application goes through all the criteria that we've been through so far. There's multiple choice questions and boxes where you can answer in your own words what your innovation is, what your stage of development is, what your social impact could potentially be if scaled. So you'll be asked to describe your clean energy concept. You'll be asked to disclose the amount of private funding that you've raised to date, as well as identify the potential for community impact. The full application, we're going to ask for more information about your concept and its potential benefits. We're going to ask about some of the challenges that you face, some of how you perceive the technical or commercial challenges that you'd like to overcome with the CalSEED grant. We're also going to ask for information about your team, your entity, or your organization, if applicable. And there will be an opportunity to attach letters of support if you have them. If you have them, attach them. The judges love to see them. And I strongly encourage you to go to the application manual at calseed.fund. It'll go through, a lot of the slides that I have here are in the application manual, just with more words. So there's another place where you can get this information also.
What are some ideas of people who could write letters of support? What are good sources?
That's a good question. So if you have mentors, community partners, other investors, so you do have a private investor, why did they decide? Yeah, community partnerships, kind of anybody who's helping you, anybody who's working with you that's not on your team. That looks really good. So the review process. What does the review process look like? Full applications, those long four-page applications are broken up into these 4 different sections. We have a technical advisory committee, and we match people on the technical advisory committee based on their expertise and experience. We match them to a different area of your application. So we have a team of experts and engineers who can evaluate the technical merits of your innovation. We have an impact subcommittee who is, they typically work in low-income disadvantaged communities or corporate social responsibility. They will be looking at the impact section of your application. There's also a team of experts in either some of the accelerator programs, serial entrepreneurs, impact investors, people who have successfully created startups will be looking at your application for readiness and team. So for the innovation panel, the group of technical experts that we have reviewing your application, we will ask them to consider if the project goal is achievable. We'll ask them to consider if you understand the key technical and commercial challenges that you're facing. And we'll ask them how the project would improve upon existing products or solutions. Yep.
Would we be, or will we be able to upload blueprints and photographs or sketches, drawings at this stage?
I don't think so.
So if you have something that's technical, the applicant can provide technical drawings, wouldn't they want to see that?
I think they would. I just don't think it's an option in the grant.
Are you talking in this process? Is this the first stage, the eligibility? Or is this
These are the full applications.
this is the full application? I still don't want to see blueprints of the full application?
I don't think so. I don't think there's that option in the platform that we use.
Okay.
So the impact panel, we will guide them to look at the impact that you articulate in your application to see how the innovation will benefit California ratepayers, to see what communities would benefit from your innovation, to see how the project would increase access to clean energy within disadvantaged communities, and to ask for, or to look for, what other kinds of economic development opportunities will happen when you scale your technology. The readiness team, or sorry, the readiness panel is going to evaluate how the team proposes to use the Concept Award funds. They'll look at your scope of work, and they're asking what the project milestones and deliverables will be, and if all of this is feasible, given $150,000, about 12-ish months, is this a feasible project that can be completed? And they'll also be looking at who's on your project team. So based on who's on your project team right now, why is this the right team for the scope of work that you propose for this project? They'll be looking at what the team members have done before and how they will contribute to the success of this project. And so the guidance that we give to this panel is really kind of just specific to the scope of work and the team that you provide. Can the team that you have deliver on the scope of work that you have? I mean, I think in your startup, you have a ton of different challenges and development things that you need to do. We're really looking for them to evaluate if you can execute on this project, which is one part of your development. So we understand that sometimes early stage companies are in flux, people come and go. And so we really try to put parameters around what they're evaluating here for team and readiness. Before I move on to dates, does anybody have any questions?
I have a question on the webinar, and it says, with respect to the funding cap, if we have won a prior DOE grant, does that count? And does the funder equity count?
Funder equity, I believe, does count because that's a private investment. DOE does not because that's public funds.
Got it.
If they have a letter of support from the DOE, that would be great too. Okay. Important dates, February 28th through March 16th. That is when the eligibility applications open. Again, this is 1 or 2 pages. It should take less than an hour to complete, but I recommend you go and you fill it out, you hit save, you come back, you edit, you save. And you know, you have a long time to fill this out if you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So I know you want to apply soon. Don't like fill it all out really quickly and hit submit unless it's March 15th. Please look at it beforehand and please take some time to clearly articulate what your innovation is, especially if it has a lot of different components and you think there might be some gray areas that fall into one of these eligible technology areas. My recommendation is to very clearly describe what your innovation is, because your description is going to be evaluated more than the fact that you check the box for it being an eligible technology. After the application window closes on March 16th, we will have 10 days on at Energy Nexus, and some of our partner organizations will go through the eligibility screening, and on or about March 26th or 27th, we will know which applications passed the screening and which did not. So that's when you should be getting this first notification. If you're asked to, if you're invited to submit a full application, you'll have from March 27th through April 17th. It's a long time. Same suggestions. Write things down. Save. Walk away. Come back. Edit. Save. Walk away. Come back. Edit. Save. I think the more clearly you can write, the more clearly you can convey your ideas, the easier it is going to be for the technical advisory committee to score your application. And you want to make it easy for the judges. The technical advisory committee review window happens from April 18th through May 3rd. After that, the CalSEED team puts together a recommendation package that then goes into the CEC, and it kind of goes into the ether of the CEC. We're dealing with a large bureaucracy. All of our grants have to be approved at one of the CEC's monthly business meetings. We hope this will happen August, September. There's a series of desks that it has to kind of pass through to get sign-offs before the commissioners can see it. So a caveat that we are subject to this long bureaucratic process. We do everything we can to get the recommendation package to them as soon as the technical advisory committee selection has happened. But then it kind of goes into this ether of the Energy Commission, all of this bureaucracy, and we don't always have eyes on where it is in the stage of the process. So this is an advance request for patience in this long process. When all is said and done, we try really hard to keep everybody informed as soon as possible for any movement. So we just ask for some patience as we also deal with the bureaucracy. Questions?
When you said 200 applicants or so, did you mean for the eligibility or for the full application?
Last year it was 200 for the eligibility. So last year about 200 people applied. 92 of them were invited back to fill out a full application. And from that, 25 companies were awarded.
On the first application, can you submit more than one project?
That's a good question. Sorry, no.
It's only one?
It's only one application per person per company.
But can you put several projects in the same application, or just one project for it?
Just one project per application. And honestly, that makes it easier for the judges to evaluate so that you're not having to kind of go back and forth between describing different projects.
We have a question here online. Will non-carbon emissions reduction technologies be eligible for funding? Example, sulfur or oxidized nitrogen.
Hard to tell. It really comes down to what is in this messy table. So if it's around electrification, clean energy, electricity, innovation, that's really the deciding factor, I would say. So yeah, if it can fit within any of these categories, then yes. But you might also want to look at the Air Resources Board. There might be other grant opportunities that have the same social equity components to it with the Air Resources Board. There might be other grant opportunities there as well. And the Empower Innovation Network might be a good resource to check out also. I should have included a slide for that, but
I can send that link to everyone.
awesome.
Yep.
There's a word limit. I think it's 200 words. And you can look at the application questions that are online. And I can show you on the website where those application questions are. That is the word count in there. You want to give enough information that qualify, and so that we understand what you're proposing. And it's, you don't want to go too heavy with the jargon, but you don't want to dumb it down. So I'd say be as detailed as you can be to make it clear to us what it is you're proposing to do. And really here, it's being specific to the question that's asked. So for example, looking at the different technology areas, when it asks you to describe the kind of innovation, answer that question so that you're showing us that you fall within one of those technology areas. So if you're specific to exactly what the question is asking, that's going to be good. Does that answer your question? That's kind of It's like
Yeah, because
trying to-
when I send the full application, then you start to get all more details, even though you don't have like, you can attach files to anything. But I'm actually gonna put in the initial application so you can qualify for.
Right. I mean, I would say put in as much detail so that you can show that you qualify. Things like the technical challenges that you'll be facing, the commercial challenges that you'll be facing, kind of the scientific problem that you're trying to solve. Those are all things for the eligibility application. Those are all things for the full application. The eligibility application, we're looking for a description that shows that you qualify. Yep.
So my last question about the full application and submitting blueprints. Does that also apply at the eligibility application timing also, or would we have an opportunity to provide drawings for better clarity? Because you're only talking about verbiage, right? Talking about whoever is the best wordsmith, and here's going to win. Yeah.
So it's the grant application platform that we have that doesn't really give that ability to upload those kinds of documents. And so
even if it's a Word doc or a PDF?
No, not an application as it is right now. And that applies to both the eligibility application and the full application. Yep.
No PDF attachments for the full application?
Only for the letters of support, but that's it.
We have a question. Does the applicant company have to be a registered California entity?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because these are California ratepayers who are funding the application. Yep.
So if you have a company that's, let's say it's incorporated in a different state but operating in California, that have a.
That works. That applies. I know a lot of companies do incorporate in Delaware, but then in other states throughout the country. So it's mostly, have an office here, the project is going to happen here. And by the time, when we get into contracting, if you are incorporated somewhere else, we typically ask to see your paperwork to be registered with the state, just to verify that you are doing business here. This is the email address to email with questions. This was a lot of information. If you have questions, please email this account. There's a few of us who are responding to questions in this account, and so you will likely get a quicker response by emailing this than if you were to email me. So if you have any questions, please email that info account. I think Courtney's going to send around the slides afterwards.
Yes, and I'll send the recording version as well of this. But any other questions? No? I want to say thank you, Joy. It's always a pleasure to have you, and I encourage you all to apply. And again, I will send out the recording. And if you have any questions, just let us know. We're here to help. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.